You yourself in Europe, you passed through a number of civil wars before you came to the democracy.
This is what every dictator says. It's not time. The people aren't ready. You can't hurry these things.
It is not one-day show. Even Europe, United States, everywhere in the Western countries, your democracy has taken time. And it has not come in one shot, in one day, in 1 week, in 1 year. It has taken years to mature. That is true. And that will continue. Democracy is building democratic culture.
Yeah, and you did everything to slow it down. When Mr. Abiy came into power, he couldn't wait to condemn the legacy of your government and draw a line under your time in office, could he? April last year, he said that government, your government, had sanctioned torture of its prisoners and said it had been guilty of state terrorism. He said in Parliament, does the Constitution say anyone who was sentenced by a court can be tortured, put in a dark room?
That's true.
It doesn't.
That's true. That government was his as well, not only mine.
You were the Prime Minister.
I was the Prime Minister, but he was there also.
The buck stopped with
you.
We
collectively decided to reform, including himself.
The ultimate responsibility lay with you.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Why do you try and get out of it? Why do you try and get out of it?
That's why I initiated the reform. That's why I initiated the, 1 year taken reform.
You initiated reform. You blocked every attempt by the United Nations Special Rapporteur, the UN Human.
It should come from us.
Every attempt.
It should come. All the reform should come from us.
And the only reason you blocked them from investigating was because you didn't want them to find out what was going on.
I did, and I initiated the reform before my resignation a year ago. And that reform is what resulted Prime Minister Abiy to come to power.
Hundreds of people were killed.
To bring him to power.
Hundreds of people were killed under your regime, and you refused to have an independent investigation led by the UN's chief human rights official.
If you ask the killings, the last 1.5 years, the number of killings surpassed in 6 years what happened in my term. If you ask for killings, look, that is not the case. So the whole thing is, I initiated this reform and a year ago before my resignation, and I paved the way for the new system.
You let some people come in. You say you initiated the reform. You created a regime where people were tortured and disappeared and had their rights taken away from them consistently. Tens of thousands of people, and you denied it time and time again.
I have asked an apology to my people that the regime has some abuses of human rights and a deficit in democracy, and that has happened. I still feel that I'm sorry for that, but I initiated for the change to come.
That's not much of an apology, is it? That really isn't. That's a half-hearted apology.
No, it is not.
And
I would have not resigned. I could have taken it to the last, as many leaders.
You couldn't. The party didn't want you to stay. You lost the faith of the party.
No, I haven't lost the security forces. I haven't lost the army.
They're all being arrested. They're being arrested. They should have been investigated under your time, and they weren't.
If I want to continue as dictators, I could have used everything up to the last of my breath. So
you always claimed dictatorship. You always claimed democracy took time. You always said this is a fledgling democracy. It takes time.
Exactly.
This is what every dictator says when they don't want to give up power.
You yourself in Europe, you passed through a number of civil wars before you came to the democracy.
This is what every dictator says. It's not time. The people aren't ready. You can't hurry these things.
It is not one-day show. Even Europe, United States, everywhere in the Western countries, your democracy has taken time. And it has not come in one shot, in 1 day, in 1 week, in 1 year. It has taken years to mature. That is true. And that will continue. Democracy is building democratic culture.
Yeah, and you did everything to slow it down.